So Cheryl Reeve was known for a while as being the #1 Caitlin Clark hater coach. She was known for the going on Twitter and basically saying the WNBA is about more than one player.
Cheryl Reeve just dropped a bombshell that's rocking the WNBA. After months of downplaying Caitlin Clark's impact, Reeve finally admitted what fans have been saying all along: Clark has changed the game forever, which is beautiful. That's the way it should be. It's safe to say Cheryl Reeve can finally feel the Caitlin Clark effect, but here's the kicker: Reeve didn't just give Clark a little credit. She went all in saying Clark is behind league's recent growth. That's not just a big deal. It's a seismic shift in how the WNBA sees its future. Want to know what made Reeve eat her words? Stick around because we're about to spill all the details now. Let's rewind a bit. When she was asked about Clark cheering for that other side, she was that stubborn. Remembered Cheryl Reeve's comments about Clark before the season. Reeve wasn't just skeptical, she was downright dismissive of all the Clark hype, and she hated her fans, who obviously have an issue with. Caitlin Clark, you might recall her famous line about how the WNBA is more than just one player. It was like she was trying to put out a fire before it even started. When it comes to her relationship with Caitlin Clark fans, it was a bit prickly for a large chunk of the season, because Reeve was very dismissive about questions regarding Clark and the Olympic team. But something changed, and you won't believe what Reeve said in her latest interview. It's like she did a complete 180. So how did Cheryl Reeve go from dismissing Caitlin Clark to calling her a game changer? Well, get this. Reeve didn't just admit she was wrong. She went all in on Clark's impact. We're talking full-on, no-holds-barred praise, and it's nice to see Reeve go from sort of annoyed about answering Caitlin Clark questions to offering that praise and realizing what has happened for the women's game as a whole. Reeve actually said that 80% of the league's recent growth is because of Caitlin Clark. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't just a little pat on the back. It's Reeve basically saying, hey, I was wrong and Clark is the real deal, but why the sudden change? What made Reeve eat her words? Her tone seemed to change, and she talked about the growth of the game as a whole in her exit interview, which I thought was well said and thoughtful. It turns out it wasn't just about the numbers. It was what she saw happening right in her own city. Reeve couldn't ignore the buzz surrounding the Minnesota Lynx. Did you know they had the highest ticket sales this year? She even called it one of the franchise's best years in terms of business and fan engagement. And here's the thing. She's giving much of that credit to Clark. I was in Barclays Center, 18,000 people. What a vibe. I was at the Target Center for the Minnesota game, 18,000, 19,000 people. What a vibe. I mean, it's awesome to see two separate arenas, neither involving Caitlin Clark, filled to the brim. Amazing, but here's where it gets really interesting. Reeve isn't just talking about Clark as a flash in the pan. She's saying this is part of something bigger. She's comparing the WNBA's growth to what happened with Major League Soccer. That's huge. We're talking about a whole new level of mainstream appeal for women's basketball, and it's evident what happened. Because of Caitlin Clark, many new fans came to the game and the rest of the league, which is great. Reeve's admission has sparked debate over the league's future, since Clark's effect in her debut season suggests potential for future success. The whole league is improving, not just a new star. Now for the million-dollar question. If Cheryl Reeve, a WNBA legend, says Clark transformed the game, that means what for everyone else? Is a new age of women's basketball coming? Are you ready? Because Reeve's statements indicate we're just starting something significant. Definitely not hype. It's okay, it's fine, she plays. Okay, Reeve said Clark changed the game. Here, things go wild. Veterans who mocked Clark's hype. They're singing a different tune now. Here's what WNBA star Satu Satuli had to say about Clark. Caitlin is the face right now, and that's also good. Like, she's selling out gyms, of course. Like, why would you hate against that? We had a sold-out home opener. Like, I think it was a practice game, like it wasn't even serious, and it was sold out. Like, we benefited from that because now we have all our fans there, and they're excited, and you have new people coming into a market. She is her own economy, and that is amazing what made. These seasoned pros do a complete 180. Let's break down Clark's rookie revolution. Remember when everyone said Clark couldn't handle the pros? Well, guess what happened? Clark didn't just handle the WNBA, she owned it in her first few games. Let's understand this about Caitlin Clark, #1 overall pick, on pace to become the first rookie ever to average at least 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. But she also leads the league with 5.4 turnovers per game, 1.3 more than any other play in the league. She's shooting just under 36% from the field and 30% from three-point range. That's not just good for a rookie. That's superstar territory. She wasn't just scoring, she was making everyone around her better. But let's talk about those attendance numbers. Did you see the crowds? It was like every game was a sellout event. Arenas were packed to the rafters with fans flocking to see Clark work her magic. It wasn't just a little bump in ticket sales. We're talking record-breaking crowds, the kind of numbers that make team owners sit up and take notice. How is the attendance for Team USA in the Olympics? What would it have been like if Caitlin Clark was playing on that team? Remember the first game? Look at this right here, national broadcast viewership. What are we talking about here now? Here's where it gets interesting. Some veterans weren't too happy about all the attention at first. Can you blame them? They've been grinding for years, and suddenly this rookie comes in and steals the spotlight. But Clark didn't just show up, she dominated. And as the crowds kept getting bigger, even the skeptics couldn't deny her impact. The Fever will have over 600,000 fans in attendance total this year. And the second best to that was in 1999. You might be thinking, okay, but what about the TV ratings? WNBA viewership, okay, game 7,300 in attendance. You know what the average attendance is when Caitlin Clark plays home or the road, what? 15,300, okay, 15,300. But here's the real kicker, the shocking statistic that Reeve revealed about Clark's impact on the WNBA. Turns out Clark wasn't just filling seats and boosting ratings, she was bringing in millions of new viewers, millions. Let that sink in for a second. We're not just talking about diehard basketball fans tuning in. We're talking about people who might never have watched a WNBA game before, and suddenly those skeptical veterans like Diana Taurasi, they're starting to change their tune. She said this in a recent interview. I mean, it's amazing. You know what Caitlin's been able to do? And her short career so far has just been nothing short of remarkable. And, you know, the one thing that I really love about her, she loves the game. You can tell she's put the work in, and even throughout her short WNBA career, it's been a lot of pressure, a lot of things thrown at her, and she keeps showing up and keeps getting better every single game. So her future is super bright, and being a veteran and being this thing for a long, long time, it's pretty cool to see that it's hard to argue with results, and Clark's been delivering them in spades. So the same players who might have rolled their eyes at the Clark hype are now seeing firsthand what she brings to the league. It's not just about her individual performance, it's about how she's elevating the entire sport. So if we take a look at this line chart, we can see the dip in 2021 because of COVID, and then this huge spike in 2024. So what we're seeing here isn't just a talented rookie having a good season. This is a full-on rookie revolution. Clark's impact is reshaping how people view the WNBA, bringing in new fans and changing the game from the inside out. And if this is what she's doing in her first season, well, buckle up, because the Caitlin Clark era is just getting started. Think Clark's impact stops when she steps off the court. Think. Again, Reeve just revealed something shocking about how fans are reacting to Clark's influence. And it's unlike anything we've seen before. It's not just about the game anymore. It's about a cultural shift that's sweeping across the country. And you won't believe who's tuning in now with Cheryl Reeve. I think she's on the money there. I think the big reason why her team, I'll say a big reason for the initial buzz, was Caitlin Clark. Clark's impact isn't just confined to the hardwood, it's spilling out into the streets, the bars, and even your living room. Reeve dropped a bombshell about how Clark's changing the entire viewing experience, and it's got everyone talking. Remember when the WNBA was just background noise at your local sports bar? Those days are over now. Picture this sports bar's packed with fans, all eyes glued to the TV screens showing WNBA games. It's not just a game anymore. It's an event. People are planning their nights around these matchups, and it's all thanks to the Clark effect. But here's the kicker. It's not just more people watching, it's who's watching and how they're tuning in. We're seeing fans who've never given women's basketball a second glance suddenly becoming diehard supporters. College basketball fans who used to tune out after March Madness are now following the Indian Fever with the same passion. It's like Clark's opened up a whole new world of basketball for people who didn't even know they were missing out. So if we look at this chart for the 2024 season, the Indiana Fever are pretty much blowing out every other team. They are averaging almost 16,000 per 39 games, so this is taking into consideration not only the Indiana Fever home games, but also when they are on the road. But here's the real game changer. It's spreading beyond just Clark's games. Suddenly the WNBA isn't just background noise. It's the main event. Other teams are seeing a surge in interest, and it's not just because they're playing against Clark. It's like she's lit a fuse, and now the whole league is exploding with excitement. But here's where it gets frustrating. Some people are still trying to downplay what's happening. Can you believe it? Despite all this evidence, skeptics dispute Caitlin Clark's golden goose status. Some folks spend some time. Angry media outlets ask whether her interest is sustainable, considering that the league's success may not depend on Clark. But let's be honest. Numbers don't lie. The WNBA would have taken until 2029 or 2030 to reach its current state without Caitlin Clark. Before the 2023 season, the league had grown by 40%. Viewership from 2022 to 2023 with Caitlin Clark. Viewership has increased 400%. Crowded arenas, the rising TV ratings, social media buzz. It all speaks to a seismic shift in WNBA perception, and Clark may not be the only culprit. She's clearly driven this tremendous metamorphosis. Imagine a packed bar with fans transfixed to the TV. It's not the NBA playoffs or March Madness. It's like we've entered a parallel dimension where women's basketball is the hottest ticket in town. People are cheering, discussing, and living every moment of a regular season WNBA game. Clark is best. Watching her love for the game and how she plays with the team, I like when she shoots from half court. Not like this is when it gets interesting. Not your typical sports crowd. Clark is expanding the audience with diverse populations who may never have considered the WNBA before. She's changing it. She's converting casual viewers into diehards faster than she can shoot a three. $1 million question, can the league maintain this momentum? Heat streaks are common, but this seems different. The WNBA isn't just having fun. Clark leads the movement, and other stars rise to the occasion. This may be the start of a new era in women's basketball. If this is only the start, brace up. In a few years, imagine where we are. WNBA isn't just changing, it's reborn before our eyes. Lots of financial growth potential. He estimates over 30,000 additional fans will attend Fever games with Clark.